Okay, this is going to be short and sweet. What I'm going to say is not meant to be offensive, not to make mockery or fun of anybody, but I'm going to tell you what I believe and what I see. As far as I'm concerned, the false religion called Christianity is a white man's religion. And before you chop me off and cut me down, let me tell you this. Look at this. The statues of Jesus are white. The pictures of God is white. Angels are white. Disciples are white. Everybody in the whole biblical spectrum, whenever you see a picture, a TV show, whatever it is, everybody is white. And that image came from going back to the time of slavery, put into the hearts and minds of people who have been here for over 400 years and have lost their mind, meaning that they no longer know who they are, where they came from. The thing they teach you in Christianity, the first things they tell you is that you have to what? Fear God. And they'll say, well, it's not fear in the sense of being afraid, but out of respect. No, it's fear. They want you to fear God because if you don't do what God said, He's going to send you to the place called hell. That's one of the things. So they put that in you to believe that. And when the white man gave you this religion, false, I'm going to say false religion, because Christianity, because you don't find it nowhere in the Bible. What it says is this, that he told you that God and everybody else is white. So what we're doing today is we're going to break that spell and give you what you need to know in order for you not to fall for any of that nonsense any longer from these people. And we're going to be going into some esoteric things, some spiritual things, things that have been told to me by the elders to tell you as well. But first, let's deal with this. When the slave master said Christianity, you find it nowhere in the Bible. Nobody during the time of Jesus was a Christian. Well, it says that the disciples were first called Christians at Antioch. So what? That doesn't mean anything. And that was written by Paul in the book of, Luke in the book of Acts. And if Luke wrote the book of Acts, why didn't he mention that in his book, so-called the book or the Gospel of Luke? Why did he mention the word Christian? It's not there because it wasn't true. Number two, the thing is that what they teach you is that you have to be obedient without question. In other words, whatever God says, that's it. Like I heard people say, if God said it, I believe it, that settles it. No question. You don't question God's word. You don't question the Bible. You don't question God because that's very sinful. Bullshit. You have a right to question. The thing is that going back again to the white images, when you tell a child about Santa Claus, right? One of the first things you do when you say, you got to believe in Santa Claus, what do? You show him a picture of this man in a red suit and a hat and all that kind of stuff. From that point moving forward, no matter at what age that child becomes, whenever you see that image or that picture, who are they seeing? They are seeing Santa Claus. Even today, as adults, whenever you see that picture of that man, you don't need a name. You know it's Santa Claus because that's what has been put into your subconscious mind. And the image of a white God in your subconscious mind gives you the image that the white man is God. There was a survey done some years ago. It said that most white men who have long hair and a beard very seldom get mugged because in the subconscious mind of the mugger, they're seeing Jesus, so they're not going to touch that. They're not going to deal with that. They're not going to have anything to do with that because that's what it is. The brainwashing that has begun, and there are people who will defend a religion that they have no true knowledge of. All they know is what they are told. When you go back and you research the Bible, when you research all of the books of the Bible, when you research the disciples, when you research the man called Jesus, you're going to find a whole different story being told other than what you're told in the church. The church and the so-called pastors, and you see them up there, they're ranting and raving. Today, Jesus is coming back soon. You better get saved, and you want to, if you want to go to heaven. And the thing they don't teach you is this: is that at the end of the so-called tribulation, all this stuff is happening. The kingdom of heaven is going to be on earth. Jesus is coming back to earth to set up his kingdom, not up in the sky somewhere. But that's what you're told. You're told people to die and go up in the sky somewhere. And being that you live on a round planet, if this is the earth and it's round, and then which way is heaven? Is heaven up here? Is heaven over here? Because everybody is on a different part of it. People look up here. People look up there. People that look up looking down. So which direction is heaven? Where? Where is it? And the thing is that I've been up in an airplane and I look down from the airplane to the earth. I can't make out nothing. If you're up in heaven, which is further than the sun, moon, and stars, as they say, or it's up in the clouds somewhere, when the people who are in heaven looking down, what do they see? They can't see you because you can't see anything. You can't even make out anything. If it's water, ocean, that's all you might be able to see, and some trees. But you cannot see any individuals down there. But I'm saying that, and I want to give you this thing to research this. This thing is called injured humanity. Injured humanity. Look it up. And what it is going to display something that Christians did to black people during the time of slavery to show how they should be treated. Another thing I want you to look up is the Emancipation Proclamation. Okay, when that was written, black people couldn't read to know what it said, but the images that they have on this document is showing these Negroes being freed from slavery by these white angels, which put into the mind of the slave that it's the white man that's going to free them and give them whatever they need. Now, I'm not saying anything about bad about white people. I'm just telling you what the facts are. Those are the facts. The white man gave you Christianity. And the thing you have to look at is before Christianity, what was the main religion on the planet? Because if you have to die and go to heaven by believing in Jesus, and Jesus came long after everybody else on the planet, does that mean that everybody who was on the planet before the time of Jesus died and went to the fictitious, I'm going to say it like this, the fictitious place called hell? And I did a video on this here before, and I'll do another one just to update you on the 4 places called hell in the Bible, and none of them mentions a place of torment, torture, or suffering, and none of that stuff. It's not there. Hell is a fictitious thing that they put into the hearts and minds of people to keep you locked into the fear that you better do right or God's going to send you to hell. It doesn't exist, and that's a fact. Anybody want to dispute me on it? I dare you to dispute me on it, because you can't prove it, and I can prove what I'm saying. You can't prove nothing of what you're going to say if you want to dispute me on that. So the idea is time for us as a people to release the false ideologies, the false images, the false everything that's being taught. Now, I'm not saying there aren't any good principles about a religion. No, there's some good things about it. Be good, love thy neighbor, all that good stuff. That's fine, nothing wrong with that. But to believe in a image that is false, and one of the first things in your 10 commandments, what does it say? I am the Lord thy God that brought thee out of Egypt, and thou shalt have no other gods before me, and thou shalt not make unto thee any graven image, any likeness in heaven above, earth beneath, and water under the earth. Thou shalt not bow down to them or serve them. And what do you see people doing in front of the cross? They're bowing down in front of the cross. What do you see people doing in front of the statues? They bow down in front of the statues. They kiss the cross. They kiss the statues. All of that stuff it says don't do, you do. So you all are in violation of that commandment. So people, wake up. The Christianity, and we'll say it again, and I dare anybody to prove me wrong, that Christianity is the white man's religion, because if you go back to the time of the Nicaea Council, the Council of Trent, there wasn't no Baptist, wasn't no Methodist, wasn't no Episcopalian, wasn't no Lutheran, was none of those main religions that you see here by name today in any of those meetings. It was a whole nother thing that was there. Another thing, I'm going to say this here in closing, I'm going to say that I know I'm going to do what they do. I know there's 5 of you out there, 10 of you out there who want to give $1,000. Just 5 of you, just give $1,000 for this here thing I'm talking about. And you can send it to my PayPal, JAES123@yahoo.com, or my Cash App, $JOCS1234. So there's $1,000 out there for 5 of you. Send that to me. If you ain't got 1,000, then send 100. If you ain't got 100, send 25. If you ain't got 25, send 5. But send something to this ministry, as they would say, to support this, because of the fact they'll say that God needs your money. But in any case, you understand my point. The fact is, and I dare you to prove me wrong and show, and you say, well,